Okay, so my name is Jason Beres. I'm a Senior VP at Infragistics. Many of you have been to FinJS before. I've spoken a bunch of times, but same message as usual. Focus on what you guys do best. Mitra had this in a blog like 4 years ago now, I think. And it's really about OpenFin having this secure container and everything that goes with it to provide this content sharing and collaboration across an ecosystem of apps. And then Infragistics really focus on the UI and how you can use the UI to take advantage of capabilities inside of OpenFin. So what we're talking about today, we actually did a webinar last Thursday with OpenFin, and we announced these new adapters for FDC3. What we're trying to do with FDC3 is really simplify how FDC3 can work in your applications. So if you're building React, Angular apps, doesn't really matter. It just takes a few lines of code to be able to use the API to consume intents, share intents, et cetera, versus maybe hundreds of lines of code before. So if anyone's done FDC3, you have to learn it, you have to understand it, then you have to implement it, and then you have to keep it updated. Well, our job is to kind of make all that really simple. So when there's updates to different containers and there's updates to FDC3, we're with the spec, and then you guys really don't have to worry about it. You update your applications and things just magically work. So our FDC3 adapter really makes it easy to send and receive messages. We have the standard FDC3 intents. We allow custom intents. Today what I'm going to demo is built in React. We have a React demo. I think we have Angular now as well. But pretty soon we'll have WPF, jQuery, Blazor, basically all the platforms. The way this works for us is we start in C# and then we translate this code to TypeScript, to Objective-C, Swift, or to Java, so it works on any platform. Another new control, if you're familiar with Infragistics, we build UI components, so come in the back and see us for some of these demos later, but we have a new tree map control that we're shipping in every platform. One thing we are announcing actually tonight, but next week it ships, is our web component. So we have React, Angular web component, along with all of the other desktop platforms that you guys use to build out all of your applications. Another cool thing is tighter integration with our visualizations. So data tables, data grids, and data visualizations gets a lot easier. We're building adapters for those as well. So instead of you having to manage the data context between the components, we do it automatically for you. And then coming soon, one of our biggest requests is for our doc manager. We ship a doc manager in WPF. Many of you folks that work in financial services and in Rich Client have either used our WPF doc manager or Windows Forms doc manager. We're moving this to HTML. So next FinJS London, I'll be able to demo this cool doc manager, which is coming soon, which is actually pretty sweet. And then the other cool thing, there's always cool things, Blazor. Colin's going to talk about Blazor next, so I'm not going to say anything. Oh, no, he's going to talk about WebAssembly. He may not even like Blazor, but it has something to do with WebAssembly. So we support server-side Blazor and client-side Blazor, which is WebAssembly. So we have a bunch of UI controls like grids, charts, maps, etc. And this is a preview for us now. We'll be shipping this in Q1. So to get to the demo on FDC3, I'll show the app really quickly, and then I'll show how easy it is to implement an app like this. So basically what this app is, this is our financial chart. So our financial chart has a bunch of built-in capabilities. To do something like this it's like one line of code. It's a few attributes. You bind data to our financial chart, and then everything by default just shows up. And then here's a couple grids. These are React grids, and then this is just a message window. I'm going to clear this message window here, and I'm going to clear the chart so there's no data. But you can see here in my stock portfolio grid, I'll click View Chart, and what happened here was an FDC3 API call went out, FDC3.instrument, and the ticker symbol was Tesla. So anyone listening for Tesla or for a ticker symbol can pick that up and do whatever they want with it. This intent is actually view chart. So if someone's listening to a view chart intent, with this adapter, we'll send that message out, and then it'll automatically just work. On the grid side, if I click Buy, you can see that it's updated with a different syntax. So we've got the view instrument intent. I'm sending an FDC3 position with some information, and then whoever's listening to that can pick that up, go look up data, bind directly to this data, or do something with it. And then the same thing goes for this grid here. As I click Sell, they're being removed from this, and I'm sending the sell position intent. So Sell position is a custom intent that we actually implemented with this sample. You guys can create as many custom intents as you want, and they can follow the FDC3 API, and that context can get shared across all of the applications, like what everyone's talking about tonight with MAN, with FactSet, with a bunch of the other vendors, Genesis, et cetera. So in this case, if I want to click View All, actually I'm going to click Buy a couple times, get a few charts. So in this grid now I have a few charts. I'll click View All, so we send an even lengthier message to the chart, and now I've got multiple series on this chart. The nice thing about the financial chart, again, is you can do a bunch of stuff that's built into the chart. You don't have to write any code for these things to happen. It's kind of all done automatically, fully touch-enabled, works on every platform, and is canvas-based, so it's optimized for real-time data pumping in and out. So to do an app like this is super easy. I'm not going to get into all of the details on each window. I'm going to show you the implementation details of FDC3 adapter. So I'll scroll up to the top. This is VS Code, and what we've done is we've created a few imports. So in this case, I'm going to import the FDC3 adapter, FDC3 message, and FDC3 context. So these are just TypeScript files that are in the adapter. We're going to import those in, and now this application is aware of them and can do stuff with them. So if you've ever done FDC3 before, you know there's a bunch of stuff to wire things up. What we do is we just create a new instance of an FDC3 adapter, and at that point, this FDC3 adapter has access to whatever message is coming in, and then that message, of course, has all of the context to whatever you need to share across your applications. So in this case, just to pre-populate this sample, I had Tesla and Uber as a couple stocks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say FDC3 adapter, go ahead and subscribe to view chart. So it's here where you can say I want to subscribe to a specific intent, or I want to subscribe to a specific channel. So we support channels, intents, and all the other things that FDC3 supports. So in this case, I have view chart, and then I'm going to handle the message received event. When I get message received, then I can take the properties that are in the context that I'm receiving from whoever just sent it, and then I just update the chart. And in this case, if I scroll down, we actually have another neat thing about the adapter. A lot of times when you're trying something new out, you have to worry about your own data. We've implemented fake data with this, so you can use the fake data or you can use your own data. In this demo, I'm actually auto-generating fake data behind the scenes, but you can override that and you can put in your own stock positions, et cetera, to make this, once you maybe get used to it, because normally that takes a while to start doing a POC. And then I'm just binding to the chart, and then other events are getting triggered on the application. The rest of the code here just has to do with setting up the chart. So this is the actual financial chart. And you can see, to do things like have crosshairs, do data annotations, show final value annotations on the y-axis. These are just property settings on the chart. So to do that entire financial chart is just setting a few properties and then binding to the data. And then what ends up happening is you get something that looks like this, and this code is for this, this window is for this code, and essentially I am just listening because I'm listening for that view intent for view chart, and it's going to accept that and then bind data to it. So it's basically 3 lines of code, maybe 5 if you're a real stickler on what it takes to actually start using FDC3 in your application and then throwing data back and forth. And that's kind of the goal with this. So that's the demo I have for FDC3 today. You can get all of these demos. We were hoping to have the website up today, but my email is on the PowerPoints at the end, and we're in the back. So if you want any of these demos, come by and I can show them to you. And then one last thing, I want to show a couple other demos. We had some folks come and talk about Excel. Man was just talking about Excel, or Kirsten was talking about Excel for Man, and this is like the favorite of every trader in financial services. We have an Excel library, so we do 2 cool things. We've built a spreadsheet on top of our Excel library. What we did back in 2005 or 6 is we hired the guys that wrote Lotus 1, 2, 3, and they built an Excel library for us independent of Excel. Like, you don't need Excel for this thing to run, and then we've improved it over the years, so all the way up to the new XLSX format, Excel 2019 with all those formats. And then we built a spreadsheet on top of it. So here you can see, as I'm updating data in my spreadsheet, this is actually an Angular spreadsheet, does the same thing in React. these are live charts within that spreadsheet. So that's one way you can use the visualizations with the spreadsheet. Then the other way is here's just a regular chart. So this is a column chart. Here's a grid. And if I click Export to Excel, now I'm just using the Excel library, and everyone can export to Excel. That's super easy. What most people do is they export to CSV. Since we have this underlying library, we're actually exporting the primitives and all of the objects that go with it. So this is an actual Excel table. This is an actual Excel chart object. So if you need to do like more robust reporting on your export to Excel, it carries across all the formulas. We support like 300 formula types. You can do some pretty clever stuff. So that's sort of on the Excel side. And then one last thing before I pass the mic back to the next speaker. One of the other things I mentioned is we're doing a lot, and that's why I thought it was interesting that Jupyter Notebooks were mentioned, because this becomes something where you have to know R, you have to know Python, and R is becoming very popular in data science. And I see how developers will start using these capabilities within their own applications that they're rolling out. So they'll give a trader or they'll give a power user the ability to use our scripts against just a regular data grid in a web page. All this is possible today. And so what we are starting to do is do more robust summaries based on what you can do with the grid, and then, of course, implement different types of charts within the grid to do deeper data analysis. We don't have R support yet. I want to get R support or some sort of scripting support in the product next year. Of course, that means you have to install R to make it actually work. But I think that that's super interesting and it's sort of the wave of the future, because what you can do in R with one line of code might take 20 lines of C#, 20 or 30 lines of TypeScript. It just simplifies a lot of this intense data processing stuff, which of course makes the data grids that render it even more powerful. So you can do pre-processing or you can do processing in the grid. So that's just a little glimpse of some of the stuff that we're working on for the future, which I think is pretty exciting. And with that, I think my time is basically up. Again, Infragistics, we're in the back there. We have offices all over the place. Vince, who's our managing director for the UK, is here tonight. And just real quick, going all the way back up to the top, if you want any of the samples, jasonb@infragistics.com is my email, or just please come see us tonight. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Thank you.